If you are trying to control your blood pressure, don't just ask if your breakfast is salty. Some items that sound very healthy, like packaged oatmeal, fruit yogurt, or bottled juice, can still contain more sugar or sodium than you think. In this video, we will look at which types to choose, which types to avoid, and how to build a more suitable breakfast for your blood pressure. The worrying thing is not that you eat a poor breakfast. The worrying thing is that you eat that way every morning without realizing it. Day after day, the amount of salt, added sugar, and processed foods can add up. When high blood pressure is prolonged, the heart has to work harder to pump blood. The blood vessels also endure more pressure. Over time, this can increase the risk of problems in the heart, brain, kidneys, and eyes. But the good news is, you don't need to change your entire breakfast in just one day. In this video, you will know how to look back at your breakfast in a simpler way, which items should be limited, which items should be prioritized, and why a few small changes can better support blood pressure over time. Watch until the end, because I will give you a very easy-to-remember formula to build a more suitable breakfast for cardiovascular health, helping you start the new day more confidently and proactively. In reality, many people after 60 years old still start the morning very similarly. They measure their blood pressure, see the reading is a bit high, then tell themselves, it must be just because of age. After that, they eat their familiar breakfast, drink coffee, have a few convenient items, and then continue their new day. They don't think breakfast has much to do with it. But after many months, the readings still fluctuate erratically. The problem is not that they do not care about their health. The problem is they have never looked at breakfast as an important part in supporting blood pressure. Breakfast can affect blood pressure because it is a meal you repeat almost every day. If the breakfast has a lot of sodium, the body can retain more water. When that happens, the heart has to pump blood with higher pressure. If the breakfast has a lot of added sugar but little fiber and protein, you easily get hungry quickly, crave more food, and have difficulty controlling meals during the day. Therefore, a suitable breakfast for blood pressure should have three main points: less sodium, less added sugar, and enough fiber along with protein. But here is what many people overlook. A breakfast that sounds healthy is not necessarily suitable for blood pressure. The problem does not lie in the name of the dish, but lies in the type you choose and how you eat it every morning. Right after this, we will look at the most common mistake. Plain oatmeal is the choice that should be prioritized. Plain oatmeal is a suitable breakfast choice for many people who are monitoring their blood pressure. The most important point is that oatmeal has fiber. Fiber helps you stay full longer, reduces the feeling of getting hungry quickly after breakfast, and supports a more stable eating habit throughout the day. For older adults, oatmeal is also easy to eat, soft, easy to cook, and does not require overly complicated preparation. However, you need to choose the right type. Plain oatmeal is usually better than flavored packaged oatmeal because the flavor type can have added sugar or unnecessary ingredients. When choosing oatmeal, read the label and prioritize the type with no sugar, no flavor. This is a simple way for breakfast to better support blood pressure. But there is a point many people easily get wrong. They hear that oatmeal is good, then choose just any type of oatmeal out at the supermarket. The problem is that not all types of oatmeal are the same. Flavored packaged oatmeal is usually more convenient, more fragrant, easier to eat, but some types can have added sugar or unnecessary ingredients. If you eat that type every morning and think that you are having a very good breakfast for blood pressure, you might not be choosing correctly. The thing to be cautious about is not eating at one time, but the habit repeated every day. Therefore, when buying oatmeal, read the label first. Prioritize simple types like plain oats, old-fashioned oats, or steel-cut oats. Choose the type with no sugar, no flavor, and without many strange added ingredients. After that, you can make the breakfast easier to eat yourself by adding whole fruits in a moderate amount. If you want to stay full longer, you can add a little bit of unsalted nuts. Limit brown sugar, syrup, too much honey, or sweet toppings. This way of doing things helps you control your breakfast more clearly. But remember, oatmeal is only the first part of breakfast. It does not automatically become a good choice for blood pressure if you add too much sugar, use sweetened milk, or eat it with items that have a lot of salt. A better breakfast needs to have balance. You need fiber, but also need suitable protein to stay full longer. And that is the reason we move on to the next choice, unsweetened Greek yogurt. Unsweetened Greek yogurt. In reality, many older adults eat a very light breakfast because they think doing so is good for their health. They might eat a little bread, a few pieces of fruit, drink coffee, and then start their new day. At first, they feel fine. But after just 1 or 2 hours, they get hungry again, feel tired, or want to eat more sweets. This often happens when breakfast lacks protein. They do not eat wrongly because of a lack of care. They just do not know yet that breakfast needs enough nutrients to keep the body full longer. Protein is the substance that helps make breakfast more substantial and maintains the feeling of fullness longer. For older adults, this is very important because if breakfast has too little protein, you can get hungry quickly, easily snack, or eat more at the next meal. Unsweetened Greek yogurt is a simple choice because it is soft, easy to eat, requires no cooking, and usually has more protein than regular yogurt. When choosing the unsweetened type, you also reduce the amount of added sugar. This is more suitable for someone monitoring their blood pressure because breakfast should have enough protein, less sugar, and not too much sodium. A good breakfast does not need to be complicated. It just needs to help you stay full, be easy to digest, and easy to maintain every day. When buying Greek yogurt, choose the type labeled plain or unsweetened, meaning the type with no sugar and no pre-mixed fruit flavor. After that, you can add fresh fruit yourself if you want it to be easier to eat. A few berries, an apple, or a banana are simple choices. If you want to stay full longer, you can add a little bit of oats or unsalted nuts. Avoid adding too much honey, syrup, sugar, or overly sweet granola. The goal is to keep breakfast simple, have enough protein, and be easy to control. But here's the point many people overlook. Not every container of yogurt is the same. Some types look very healthy, but actually have a lot of added sugar. Some types are low in fat, but are still not truly suitable if you eat them every morning without reading the label. Therefore, don't just look at the large letters on the front of the container. Look at the ingredients and the amount of sugar. Next, we will talk about a very familiar breakfast item, eggs. Eggs can be used, but should be eaten with vegetables. But a breakfast with enough protein does not only have Greek yogurt. Another very familiar dish is eggs. Eggs can appear in breakfast, but the important point is how you eat eggs and what items you eat them with. Eggs provide protein, are easy to cook, easy to eat, and familiar to many older adults. For many people, a breakfast with eggs can help keep them full longer compared to a breakfast with only bread or sweets. However, if you are concerned about your blood pressure, eggs should be eaten in a simpler way. For example, boiled eggs, poached eggs, or pan-fried eggs with very little oil are usually more suitable than preparation methods with a lot of butter, a lot of salt, or a lot of cheese. The important point is that eggs should be eaten with vegetables. Vegetables help breakfast have more fiber, potassium, magnesium, and many natural nutrients. These substances are usually present in a diet good for cardiovascular health. Vegetables also help breakfast become more balanced, instead of only having protein and starches. You can use spinach, tomatoes, mushrooms, bell peppers, or other easy-to-eat vegetables. No need to make it complicated. Just by adding 1 portion of vegetables to your breakfast, you have already made the meal better for your blood pressure. The problem usually does not lie in the egg. The problem is that many people eat eggs with processed meat, salty cheese, high-sodium bread, or add too much salt. If this type of breakfast is repeated frequently, it might not be suitable for someone monitoring their blood pressure. Over time, the amount of salt and saturated fat can add up. Therefore, do not just ask, should I eat eggs? Ask further, what am I eating eggs with? If you have high cholesterol, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, or are advised by a doctor to limit certain foods, ask your doctor or nutritionist about the suitable amount of eggs for you. If you have kidney disease or are taking medications that affect potassium, Ask your doctor before increasing a lot of potassium-rich foods. Everyone has a different health condition. This content is for reference only and does not replace personal treatment advice. The safest thing is to adjust your breakfast according to the readings and guidance of the person monitoring your health for you. Whole fruit is better than juice. Many people think drinking juice in the morning is a good choice, especially when wanting to eat healthier. But there is a point to note. Juice usually has less fiber than whole fruit. Therefore, it might not help you stay full for long. A glass of juice can also make you quickly drink the natural sugar from many fruits. If you are monitoring your blood pressure, this is a detail you should review. Keep watching, because this small choice can change your breakfast right today. Whole fruit has fiber, water, vitamins, and natural minerals. Fiber is the important difference. When you eat the whole fruit, fiber helps slow down the digestion process and helps you stay full longer. When fruit is juiced, the fiber part is usually reduced significantly. Therefore, juice is easy to drink, but does not create the feeling of fullness like eating the whole fruit. For older adults who are concerned about blood pressure, breakfast should have foods that help them stay full, are easy to control, and have less added sugar. Whole fruit is usually more suitable because you eat slower, receive more fiber, and can control the portion more easily. This is the reason you should prioritize whole fruit instead of drinking juice regularly in the morning. If you usually drink juice every morning, try switching to whole fruit a few days a week. No need to change too fast. You can start with one small portion of fruit, eating it with oatmeal or unsweetened Greek yogurt. If you still want to drink juice, use a small amount and choose the type with no added sugar. When buying juice, read the label to know whether it has added sugar or not. The goal is to let whole fruit become the main choice in your daily breakfast and be easier to maintain. In reality, many older adults drink juice because they think doing so is light and good for health. They drink one glass in the morning, eat very little other food, then think that such a breakfast is enough. But after that, they get hungry quickly, want to eat more sweets, or drink more coffee. The problem is not that fruit is not good. The problem is that breakfast lacks fiber and protein. When switching to eating whole fruit, breakfast is usually more filling and easier to control every morning. Limit breakfasts high in salt, high in sugar, and high in processed foods. A good breakfast for blood pressure is not just about adding one beneficial item. You also need to reduce items that can make blood pressure harder to control if used frequently. 3 points to note are sodium, added sugar, and processed foods. Sodium is the main component in salt. When the sodium intake is too high, the body can retain more water. This makes the circulating blood volume increase and forces the heart and blood vessels to endure additional pressure. For a person who is monitoring their blood pressure, reducing sodium in breakfast is a very important step. The problem is that many breakfast items do not have a clear salty taste but can still contain sodium, especially packaged foods or pre-bought foods. Added sugar also needs to be noted. It can make breakfast have more energy, but does not help you stay full longer. After that, you can get hungry quickly, crave to eat more, or have difficulty keeping the next meal at a reasonable level. Processed foods are usually convenient, but if used every morning, they can make it hard for you to control sodium, sugar, and saturated fat. Therefore, the simpler the breakfast is, the easier it is to control the ingredients. Remember this simple formula for a breakfast that supports blood pressure: less sodium, less added sugar, having fiber, having suitable protein, and limiting processed foods. Before eating breakfast, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this item have a lot of salt? Does it have a lot of added sugar? And does it help me stay full for long? High blood pressure does not mean that you have failed in taking care of your health. It is information for you to look back at your daily habits. You do not need to change everything immediately. Just start with breakfast. Every small choice can also help you be more proactive with your health. If this video was helpful, share it with a loved one who is trying to control their blood pressure, especially someone who still eats breakfast according to their old habits every day. A simple piece of information can help them know how to choose a more suitable breakfast. In the next video, we will talk about breakfast items that are thought to be healthy but can contain more salt or sugar than you think. Watch that video to know which items should be checked carefully before using them frequently. This video is only for the purpose of providing information and sharing knowledge. The content does not replace diagnosis, treatment, or medical advice from a doctor. Viewers should consult a medical professional before applying any methods mentioned.